Welcome to Quantum Touch Radio, supercharging your life with Jennifer Noel Taylor. Jennifer takes you on a quantum journey to discover how to supercharge your life working with universal healing quantum touch principles. Imagine knowing how to accelerate, revitalize, and engage in ways you've never experienced. In this hit show, we reveal powerful, simple steps to create more abundance, better health, emotional and mental vibrancy, and happier relationships. Imagine being simple and supercharged to cultivate life force energy for yourself and others. Get ready to be astounded. Now, here's your host.
Welcome, everyone, to Quantum Touch Radio. I'm your host, Jennifer Noel Taylor. And today, our guest is Denise Willinger. She's a quantum touch instructor, and she's been in the spa and wellness industry for over 35 years. That's a long time. And she started Serenity Spa, and then she grew her company to over 7 employees. And then what struck me is that she did some energy work initially, right? And it didn't really strike you yet at how effective it was when you started to incorporate it into your sessions until when your granddaughter, Michaela, was born 3 months premature. And Denise reached out to some of our healers on the Quantum Touch Facebook group page. And there were hundreds of healers all over the world sending energy to Michaela. And Denise said she was astounded by the love and compassion in this group of people who would send their love and healing energy, and our family doctors and nurses caring for her. I knew immediately that I wanted to be part of this group and share this healing work with my clients. And so that night she downloaded Richard's book, Quantum Touch, The Power to Heal. And she continued to work on Michaela. And so then she became a Quantum Touch instructor. And she now teaches Quantum Touch Level 1 and offers in-person and remote sessions to clients all over the world. And so welcome, Denise. Thanks for being on our show. It's great to have you.
Thank you for having me, Jennifer. So good to see you again.
Yes. So, so where I wanted to start out was I usually ask guests about our aha moment. So I'd like you to tell me more about where that really kicked in for you, why you decided to get involved in quantum touch, and more about your story that I briefly touched upon with your granddaughter.
Well, it was really an astounding story. I mean, that whole week, my oldest daughter was getting married, and my youngest daughter was pregnant with her first child, and her blood pressure kept spiking. And so this is the week of Crystal's wedding, and Shanna, the one who was pregnant, was in the wedding. And so that Wednesday before the wedding, Shanna came into the spa, and I just took one look at her, and I was like, honey, what's going on? You don't look like you feel well. And she was like, Mom, my back just hurts, and can you just give me a massage? I just need help. And I just knew that something wasn't right. And I said, I think we need to call your doctor. She just like burst into tears. She said, Mom, they'll keep me and I won't be able to be in Crystal's wedding, which is, it's sort of what happened. Her blood pressure was spiking, and they said, they said the preeclampsia is getting worse. It's not being controlled. We're going to have to keep her. And I was like, you're going to keep her for 3 months? I mean, she was only 26 weeks. And they said, oh no, this baby is going to come probably in the next couple of days. And when that hit me, I was like, that realization where I've had 2 babies that were full term. I know what the odds are of, a baby being born at 26 weeks. And I was terrified. So, and we're dealing with, one of the happiest moments of our lives with our oldest getting married, and one of the most frightening ones with my youngest dealing with this. So you pull on your big girl panties and you go to work and you just do anything you can to make it. So long story short, there were a bunch of synchronicities and some miracles that happened in the hospital, and they got Shanna stabilized enough and said, okay, we're going to let her come to this wedding. And she got to come and walk down the aisle for her sister. And, because that was several days later, they had her in the hospital. They let her come to the wedding, go down the aisle, and then go back to the hospital, which was crazy. So both stories eventually have a happy ending. When Michaela was born, she was so tiny. She was 1 pound 13 ounces. And I was sitting in the NICU, in the waiting area, a couple of days later, and there were complications with several different things over the 3 months that she was in the hospital. But at that time, I just remember, you spend a lot of time in the waiting room just waiting, and because you can't all go in at the same time. Anybody who has ever been in that situation with a baby in the NICU understands what I'm talking about. So you sit on your phone and you look at stuff, and I'm just praying, like, God, please send me an answer. How can I help? How can I help? And I ran across the Facebook group for Quantum Touch, and you could just ask for help, reach out. And I just made a post, not really thinking that, I thought, this is crazy, I'm reaching out to strangers to ask them to pray for my granddaughter. But when you're in that position, sometimes I think when we're afraid for someone else, it's almost more fear than what you have for your own health, so I was just terrified. And I was, like, over the next couple of hours, I would check back occasionally and look at all of these posts of people from everywhere, all over the world, who were saying, praying for your granddaughter. They would give all these positive messages, and these emojis of their hands up like this doing healing. And now I do that for others. Anytime I jump in that group, I immediately just stop and send healing to anyone, even if I don't post anything, because I want to give back to other people who may be in the same situation I was. So from that, I recognized the name of, when I went, who are all these people that would just stop what they're doing and send healing energy? I want to know more. And I looked up Quantum Touch. What is it? Saw Richard Gordon's name, and I was like, I know that name. And realized I had taken polarity and read his book and taken his training 30 some odd years ago as a massage therapist, and had been using some of his polarity moves in my massage practice all that time. So it all kind of came full circle. I downloaded the book, started doing the things on the baby in the NICU, my hands on either side of her, not even touching her. And then at night, I read all of the books. I read the 2.0, and I would do the heart thing just from reading the book. I did everything I could. And then after Michaela was out of the woods, I knew I wanted to be a Quantum Touch practitioner, and I wanted to be an instructor. I knew that was my path. So, long story, but it was very profound and very, it was my path, and I'm very grateful that I found you guys. So, and Michaela is now almost 5, and an amazing child. She loves quantum.
Wow. That's a great story for multiple reasons. So I want to recap a few things. First of all, Michaela was born 3 months premature, and you said 1 pound, like
A pound,
1.5 pounds.
Ounces.
And so what typically that what are the odds that a child can survive that young? What, I mean,
50-50 is what they gave us.
50-50. So not the greatest odds. So that's really amazing. So now she's 5 years old and she's totally fine.
Yes. Healthy, vibrant, amazing, so smart. Yeah. No repercussions at all. 3 surgeries and 3 months in the NICU.
That's a really amazing story right there. And then the other thing that was really amazing about that story is that we have a Facebook group page. We've been having this group a long time. And what it's turned into is just a massive healing circle. We have almost 20,000 people in that group. And I look through that page every day, and people post healing requests, and there's just great responses. There's so much love on that page. So for people listening, if you haven't had a chance to join our group, I suggest you join, because like stories like Denise, where I really believe that energy helped, for sure. She really beat the odds on that one. And
I have no doubt that it did.
Yeah. And so I had another question too. We had a child, we've had a lot of children, really young children, receive a lot of energy work for issues like this. Just wondering, does she seem that they've come out the other side a bit more sensitive to energy? When I don't know if Michaela's like this. She may be able to see colors more easily than, let's say, the average child. If you've noticed anything like that, I've been intrigued by that.
I don't know if she sees colors. I remember we babysat her and my grandson both when they were little. Well, still do, but we have like a 2-story great room, and they would just sit there and look and watch things like this on the ceiling when they were little. They don't say things now, but you could tell then that they were seeing things that we didn't see. I'm not sure if I've never really asked Michaela if she sees colors, but if she falls and hurts something, she immediately comes to me and says, "Maybe can you do energy?" So she definitely feels it, and she does it for me. I'll say, "Michaela, can you give me some of yours?" And she'll put her hands on me, and so she knows how to run energy.
Yeah, well, that's beautiful. We're going to take a quick break, and then when we come back, we will be talking more with Denise, Quantum Touch instructor. Thank you for tuning in. Welcome back, everyone. You're listening to Quantum Touch Radio. I'm your host, Jennifer Noel Taylor. We're here today with Denise Willinger. She's a Quantum Touch instructor, and we've been listening to her story, what I call a person's aha moment of how they got involved in Quantum Touch. Pretty amazing story. And I wanted to continue our conversation with Denise. And I also want to let you know, if you have questions, if you need some assistance with whatever you're working on healing-wise, Denise does a lot of sessions. She teaches Quantum Touch, so we're here to answer your questions. The call-in number is 1-800-930-2819. Again, 1-800-930-2819. We're here to take your questions. And back to Denise, I wanted to ask more about, first of all, we have an upcoming workshop. You're going to be teaching a level 1 coming up in July. I'd love for you to tell people a little bit more about what to expect in a workshop and what they'll be learning.
Oh, I love teaching Quantum Touch. Level 1 is the foundation of Quantum Touch, the way Richard Gordon had designed it. And so it's a 2-day course. The first day, you're learning how to balance the occipital ridge and the hips. And to me, that's one of the most astounding things, because I was a massage therapist, and so many people came to me with headaches and low back pain. And once you learn this technique, you will never have to go to the chiropractor again. You can just balance those things for yourself, and you will not have all of the issues of the muscles pulling the bones out of alignment anymore. It's even helped with lots of, I used to have a lot of sciatica issues, and I just have learned how to balance those things on myself, and I don't have that anymore. So I teach you how to do it for others, and then how to do it on yourself. So we have 2 full days. It's also 14 hours of CEUs for massage therapists, and I can't think of a better way to get your CEUs in. That it not only is a way to make your work easier as a massage therapist, because you don't have to use force to make change in the tissue. You can use energy. So you'll learn so many things in that 2 days. And the other thing that's so great about learning quantum touch is, as you're using the energy, the life force energy is running through you. So you're getting a healing, so you never lose your energy as you're doing the work. So it's great for anyone who works with the public a lot, and feels that life force. You know, some people have, I hear people say, you know, it just sucks the life out of me. If you feel that way about your work, then you need to learn to do quantum touch, because you can rebuild that life force energy in yourself by giving it, running it through your own body and sharing it. So it's on a Saturday, Sunday, July 24th and 25th. And gosh, I just can't even tell you how much your mind will be blown. Paradigms will be shifted. You'll never be the same after you take it.
Yeah, that, you know, the thing about the level 1 workshop, I took that in 2002, almost 20 years ago. That's when I first got involved with quantum touch. And I started to realize that we are more powerful than we're perhaps led to believe, that your body has an amazing ability to heal itself, that you're not a victim. One of the things that I really love about the energy, and maybe we can talk more about this, is that it gets you out of the feeling like a victim, or that you don't have any power, or that your body is somehow your enemy, or that it's out of control, or all those types of feelings that you may feel about health challenges. And it extends into your life as well. I got into it for health reasons, but then I started to extend it into taking my life, you know, taking my power back in my life, both, you know, relationships and financially. And so, you know, I think it might be cool to talk about how you use it every day. I have a whole litany of things that I do, so I think maybe we could share that. And so do you have like things that you do with the energy daily?
Oh, yes, absolutely. I use it as soon as I wake up in the morning. Um, I check in and start running energy through my body. And then I usually, you know, one of the things I love about it is, because I was drawn to it to help my granddaughter, I use it to kind of, I use distance healing, where I send heart energy and surround my family with love and light, and kind of put a protective shield around them. So I'm just sending energy to my entire family, or to any situation, to my business, to my home. It sort of gives me a sense of feeling like I have control, or I have something I can offer to any situation. I have my love and my energy. And so I use it in so many different ways. If I feel out of alignment in any way, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, I have a tool where I can put myself back into an alignment, um, easily and quickly. And then if anyone that I care about Or, I use it obviously in my business too. If someone has pain, if they have anything going on, I have a tool that can help. So it's a lifelong skill, whether you use it professionally or not. You can use it daily. So one of the most astounding things that happened for me was I had a realization one day that I used to get emotionally, I don't consider myself an empath, but I always I was really sensitive. Everybody would be like, "Oh, don't tell Denise because she'll just be so upset by if something happened, say someone wrote a negative review about us at the spa, I would get so devastated that it would affect me for a long time. I would just get heartbroken and get so upset, and I would I would take it personally, right? And after practicing quantum touch and using it in my life for several years, it was like it hit me one day when something negative happened. I didn't hold on to it anymore. I went, "Oh, that's interesting," and released it very quickly. So emotionally, it was a huge relief that I was able to change that emotional response. That was huge.
That's really huge. Yeah, that's really huge. And I think you can use it a lot to process what I call like emotional triggers. Mm-hmm. So if you get triggered by like a negative review or whatever it is, you can do the energy work to process the trigger and release that trigger, because it's okay to get emotionally triggered. It's kind of how you act on it, or if you let it kind of ruin your week, that's when emotional triggers get challenging. But I think emotional triggers are actually clues into a growth opportunity for ourselves when we get triggered. So you can use the energy to process the trigger and release the trigger. And a lot of times, I think once we fully release that trigger, the event doesn't have to recur. And that's what I find amazing. My partner and I do that a lot. If we like trigger each other once in a while, it's easy to do sometimes, or every relationship, no matter what kind of relationship, you get triggered once in a while. So we we use that process, like, "Oh, I'm getting triggered when you said that," and we release the energy first before we try to sort something out. And I find that to be super effective. And you can use all that as a growth opportunity in a relationship. And there's so many great ways to use energy outside of just physical healing. And
on every level, it's enriched my life in so many ways. I can't even. The happiness level goes like way up when you're able to do that for yourself and for people that you care about.
And then one other quick thing before we go on break. I use the energy to, I don't know if you do this, I do, I don't like wearing glasses or reading glasses, so I do the energy to keep, to prevent trying to get reading glasses. I just turned 50, and so at this age, was my parents started, you saw them with the reading glasses, but I haven't been doing that not to have to wear them. So it works on things like that too. That little, you don't have to go get reading glasses. You just fix your eyes with the energy. I do that a lot. So that's a fun application. Anyways, we're going to get ready to go on a short break, and then when we come back, don't forget to please call in with questions. We can show you how to avoid reading glasses or whatever else you want to do with the energy. You can call in at 1-800-930-2819, and we are going to go on a quick break. Thank you. Welcome back, everyone. You're listening to Quantum Touch Radio. I'm your host, Jennifer Noel Taylor. We have on the show today Denise Willinger. She's a level 1 instructor, and we've been talking about all sorts of interesting topics on energy healing, and we've been getting into how we use energy in day-to-day life. Also remind you, you can call in at 1-800-930-2819. We really want to take your questions. If you have any issues with the energy healing or any questions, please call in. And so we were just on a fun topic on our break. I love this. So the balance between how much can energy healing compensate for eating a diet of donuts and coffee? Like, that's been one of the topics that sometimes it happens on our group too. So tell me your experience with that and I'll tell you mine.
Well, I always say, you cannot out energy a bad diet, because I have tried and it didn't work. So that weight has been one of my issues for my entire life, and it's gone up and down. I'm either on a diet or not on a diet. So, and I still am struggling with it. So one thing I've learned is that my body responds really well to high energy foods that have high vibration, like fruits and vegetables, and things that are alive, and then it doesn't respond as well to things that are, and it's actually very addicted. They have addictive qualities. The things that have a lot of preservatives and colors and things that are lower vibration foods. So it's if I don't keep my own energy high and my brain kind of functioning at a higher vibration, then I really succumb to that addictive properties of those foods. Or if I get complacent and kind of lazy, then I'm like, oh, it'll be fine. I can just go ahead and eat this donut or whatever, and I'll work it out later. My body can handle it. It'll be fine. But over time, it doesn't handle it. It doesn't handle it at all, and I go right back into old habits and old patterns. So I cannot seem to figure out how to change the brain patterns with energy. So, but one thing that the energy has been able, what I have learned from Quantum Touch is how to love myself and my body and how it works, no matter what its size is, which has been a blessing.
Well, I think a lot of it's really interesting. A lot of it comes down to self-love. So, like I got engaged last weekend. I put that on the air. But some people who know me well, have known me for 20 years, said, like, someone, like, and not in a joking, not in a mocking way. It's like, oh, we never thought we'd see the day, because a lot of I got very frustrated with dating in the past and relationships. I just never seemed to be able to. This is my first time I've ever been engaged. I'm 50 years old. It never happened before. Never been in a very long-term relationship. And so I think what it really started to come down to was self-love, right? So I've been doing the energy for 20 years, and I realized some patterns about worthiness, not feeling worthy, and I think that affected my money and affected my relationships, and so we can use that energy work to shift whenever we have a not worthy thought. If we're feeling like if we're that negative self-talk, I think happens a lot. If you do the energy work, just create a ball of energy, you do the breathing and sweeping and create that ball of energy, and remind yourself that you're not just flesh, you're part of, you're a spiritual being, and like you're a magnificent spiritual being, right? So that reminds us that there's more to life than just this flesh and bone existence. That reminder, I feel like, helps with the self-worth. It can help with the self-love, loving yourself exactly as you are, and loving other people exactly as they are, not trying to change people and get judgy and all of that. So That's one really good use of energy work. I know my finances improved a lot when I started to get on the processing all the negative stories that I was telling myself, because I think finances are a reflection of that as well. So coming to that, do you have any stories about using energy to manifest either relationships or money or both? I love those kind of stories.
I do actually. I have really learned in the last year um, how to just let let that manifestation process take place. And even with COVID, there were many things that happened. I own a business, I own a spa, and I wasn't concerned at all when COVID hit that we were going to have to close, because I knew somehow things were going to be fine. And I trusted, and I had taken the manifestation class that Richard did. Um, and I started using a lot of those techniques. And one of the things that I had come up with last year when I was teaching a class, I decided that I was going to start sending energy to my past, present, and future self. And so it, I thought of it like, how money compounds. Like if you use compounding interest, that energy would do the same thing. So if I sent energy to my past self, my present self, and my future self, I would be compounding the energy, so that eventually I'd just be living in this divine energy, all the time. And when I practice it regularly, you just kind of get to this state of everything is just, you're living in the now, you're being the authentic, true self that you are. And, Jennifer, one of the most astounding things that has, beyond manifesting money, and, I could tell you a couple of cool stories that happened during COVID where, money came to us, in abundance, and it was wonderful. But now I've realized that money just isn't, it's just energy. It doesn't really matter that much. Here's what really made the biggest difference for me. When I was working on a client who was terminally ill, and she had come to me, and I can't even remember her name, to be honest with you, but I remember hitting that moment in time where our energy connected and time stood still. And I was in a place where I just have chills now just remembering it, where there are almost no words to describe it. When you hit that point where you realize that you are so much more than this body, that is the essence of who we really are. That's who she was. That's who I am. That's who you are. Then when you carry that with you all the time, and you let those little doubts come into your brain, those doubts are just part of that part of your brain that is not the true essence of who you are. So let that negative self-talk, treat it like a little child. Would you let a child talk to themselves like that? No. You would say, oh, my dear, you are so much more. You are so worthy. You're perfect just as you are. So remember that the next time those doubts come in, that you are perfect just as you are. And remember that, to let that feeling of that love and that essence of I can't even describe the word, that essence of you that the divineness of who we are show through, because that is truly who you are.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that. I think we all need to hear that right now. It's been a tough year for a lot of people. And yeah, I think that that's really the gift behind the energy healing and the manifestation process, and everything is realizing like you are a spiritual being and what that really means, and to feel that you're a spiritual being and to feel what that means, and to puts everything else into perspective, really, because money and these things that we concern ourselves about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Then everything else falls into place.
Mm-hmm.
The miracles start coming and happening for you.
Yes, when you tap into that part of yourself that's divine, I do believe that there's a flow that starts to happen. And thank you for sharing that. Thank you. We're going to go on another.
Led me to all of that, all of it. So
That's awesome. Yeah, that's beautiful. Thank you. Yeah. So we're going to go on another break. And when we come back, we'll continue to talk with Denise. And if you have questions, please feel free to call in. And thank you. We'll see you on the other side. So welcome back, everyone. We're here with Quantum Touch Radio. I'm your host, Jennifer Noel Taylor. And we're here today with Denise Willinger, Quantum Touch Instructor. And we've just been talking about applications of quantum touch in daily life. And one of the interesting things that we've been talking about is manifestation, and something that Denise touched upon and that I've noticed too, and that we also teach in our Manifesting Miracles, is this idea of flow, that things flow into existence when you're tapped into your authentic self. And so I'd love for Denise, if you wanted to expand upon that a little bit and talk about what we were talking about right before break, about how connecting to your authentic self creates this flow and how things manifest in that state. I've been fascinated by that recently as well.
Well, it's pretty interesting how you I love to write. I've been writing my second book, and I actually wrote a chapter in an anthology, and I wrote about the state of flow because I had, remember what we did, you were on my summit. I did the Essentials of Self-Healing Summit. And at one point during the summit, a summit has a lot of moving parts. And so you have, 20 speakers that you've recorded interviews with, and then you have all the technology, and you have to edit them, and you have, beginning and ending things that you have to put on them. And so you have all of these things that you're dealing with. And then when the summit goes live, then you have your customers, you have it. At one point it felt like I was herding cats, right? Because I had all of these things and people that I was trying to make work. And I realized at that point that I was not in flow. I was definitely not in flow. And so that's kind of what I wrote about in my chapter, was when you feel like it's totally out of sorts, when things are not working, when lots of things are coming at you and you're not able to be productive. Or if I sit down to write and the words aren't coming, then I know I'm not in flow, and I have to adjust my energy so that I can tap into that higher part of myself, that is the creative part, right? And I think we live in a society where people are just, they don't realize how bombarded they are by stuff. We have electromagnetic energies coming at us all the time. We have sound and people coming in and out, in our offices or we don't have a sanctuary. We don't have a safe place many times. There's freneticness all the time surrounding us. So when you can find a way to tap into flow, and even if that means just taking a few moments to sit and connect with your higher self or whoever, whatever you want to call it, run energy, like using quantum touch is one way that I find a way to create flow. When you're in flow, things are easy. Your emotions are more balanced. Um, the people surrounding you don't seem to have that frenetic energy. In quantum touch, when we talk about resonance and entrainment, when two energies meet, there's only one of three things that can happen. The higher energy lowers, the lower energy raises, or the two meet in the middle. And so I think when you're in flow, it creates a more balanced energy surrounding you. And so you kind of attract those things to you that you desire, because you're putting out an energy, you're able to entrain to that which you desire. So it works with manifestation, but it also works with just having an easier life full of the emotions that you desire. If you want more love, you want more harmony, you want more peace, you want more joy. If that's what you're giving out, and then that's what you're going to receive back. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's, when people talk about the law of attraction, I think that's one thing that's really hard to grasp sometimes, is that you're attracting what you're projecting. And it can be kind of a bit mysterious as to why things are happening around you the way they are. And this is where I think people get a little confused or lost, because a lot of times affirmations don't appear to work. And this is a little bit mysterious. So if you're sitting there meditating, like, I want my new car, I'm visualizing the new car in the driveway, and or whatever it is, you're $1 million in the bank account, or these things that you want to manifest, or the perfect partner, and it's not appearing, right? That's where it's interesting. Why are you not attracting what you want? And that's really what to unravel, I think. So when the affirmations aren't working, then it's like, what within you is not a match for it, and that's the part that's a little hard to figure out. Mm-hmm. Now,
so the wanting of it.
Yeah, and I think that wanting something is totally great, because I don't think that really interferes with the attraction. I don't think you have to not want something. I think that's the law of attraction we teach, like, you shouldn't really want it that much because that'll interfere with the attraction. But I don't think that's the case. I really think the problem is there's something within people that's not a match for what they want, and trying to figure that out. And that's the hard part.
Maybe they don't deserve it, or yeah, or it's not in their highest and best good. I don't know.
On the highest,
that was a hard one.
A lot of times I found, like, when people aren't manifesting what they want, there's usually self-worth stuff that's in the way, like unworthy, as you just mentioned. Then there's also anger and resentment over the past. So that is just, that's in their heart, like they're still angry. Maybe they're angry about a past relationship and they haven't released and done the forgiveness process on it. So they're attracting more to be angry about, people, partners that may show up in less than desirable ways. And then another thing is, sometimes it's not on the highest good, as you just said, and it's really not meant to be, sort of.
Yeah. Could be timing.
Yeah.
You just haven't let the seeds sow long enough.
Yeah, I think sometimes that's the case. Although I do believe that things can manifest instantly when you're a match for it. Right. You don't have to wait for it. So if something's not appearing, I think then it's like, what's in the way? Mm-hmm. But sometimes, like, things manifest to get you to go a certain path that that is in the highest good, that is truly what your heart's desire is. I know I'll end the show with a quick story. In my case, I'm building a home in Asheville, North Carolina, and still going up right now. And the last trip I was in Asheville, I walked into my home. It was beautiful, 20-foot ceiling. I walk in, it's gorgeous, beautiful neighborhood. It's not done, it's just framed. I get in there and like all that is, or spirit or God or whatever you call it, said like, this is somebody else's home. This isn't your home. Like, this isn't your path. And like, it was like super strong, and like, I totally felt it. And now I'm in Maui right now, because Maui opened up and that did not. And so just as an example, sometimes the universe says, well, you thought that was good, but here's a different path. And that's actually in the highest good. So anyways, on that note, thank you for Denise for being on the show. Great to have you on the show. And for those listening out there, if you want to find out more about Quantum Touch, you can go to www.quantumtouch.com. And Denise, do you have a website you'd like to share with people?
Sure. It's just my name, DeniseWillinger.com.
Denise Willinger, WILLINGER.com. So thank you everyone for tuning in to Quantum Touch Radio. I'm your host, Jennifer Noel Taylor, and we will connect with you next week. Thank you so much.
You've been listening to Quantum Touch Radio, supercharging your life with Jennifer Noel Taylor. Tune in on TransformationTalkRadio.com as you take a quantum journey and tap into universal healing quantum touch principles to create an amazing supercharged life. For more information about Quantum Touch, visit quantumtouch.com, and remember, accelerate, revitalize, and engage in your supercharged life.